Good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. So I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about myself. My name is Mariam Durrani. Now, most people pronounce my name either Mariam or Mariam. And the one I really don't like is Miriam, because I feel like that's a different name. But I think a lot of people are familiar with that feeling of having a name that's a little harder to pronounce here in America. But the way that I like it is Mariam. So I was born in Lahore, Pakistan, and I moved to America when I was just shy of 4 years. My dad joined the US Army, which is pretty unusual for a Pakistani Muslim immigrant, for sure. And then he spent the next 23 or so years as a soldier of the US Armed Forces. And I grew up as a US military brat, who was also a Pakistani American, a Muslim, cis female. And as I was growing up and trying to understand what all these identities meant, there was one statement that followed me around for years. Log kya kahenge? These three words have been ruining the lives and dreams of children from the subcontinent for generations. These words mock youth aspirations that deviate from the norm. Should we dream big and imagine a world of possibilities? Or should we stick to the familiar path and not dishonor the family? I remember being around 6 or 7, and my school was having a Christmas concert. And I was learning all the songs and taking part in it. Frosty the Snowman, Deck the Halls, Jingle Bells. And in the spirit of the season, I asked my mom, Mama, can we get a Christmas tree? Beta, हम मुस्लिम हैं, क्रिश्चियन नहीं हैं. लोग क्या कहेंगे अगर हम Christmas मनाना शुरू कर लें? Then a few years later, I went to the school dance, and my dad offered to take me to the dance and check it out. So we walked in, we looked around and saw the gym lined with streamers and balloons, and boys and girls mingling, a few people dancing. And he said, Beta, we're going home. And I was like, Dad, can I just stay for 1 hour? I'll just hang out with my friends and then I'll come home. Beta, हमारी लड़कियां डांस नहीं करती हैं. लोग क्या कहेंगे? We had immigrated to America, but years later, these log were determining what I would and would not do. And this is one of those aspects of being part of the immigrant population, is that you are never really disconnected from back home. You're always connected in all these ways, and sometimes the opinions of people there, or the imagined opinions of people there, were relevant now to me attending the 6th grade dance. The assumption being that I might go back and marry into these people. When I was in high school, I joined the school track team, but before the first track meet, my mom took me aside, and she asked me to wear these really ugly white tights underneath the maroon uniform. And I was like, but Mom, and she says, Beta, हमारी घर की लड़कियां नंगी टांगों में नहीं भागती हैं. लोग क्या कहेंगे? These moments from my childhood seem minor, but they were a sign of what's to come. Being a female child of a South Asian family meant that my body, my speech, my freedoms were going to be regularly policed. Not because my parents didn't trust me, or because I had done anything to warrant their concern. In fact, it was because they loved me, and there was this worry that these log, these unnamed people, might talk shit about us. Then as I got older, I wanted to get my master's, and my family members thought, what would a man do with a girl who had done her master's or a PhD? A girl who is more educated than the boy? Log kya kahenge? When I wanted to do my PhD instead of getting married, my mom was like, first get married, then do your PhD. Okay, all right. So I thought, why not move to Pakistan for a few years and find out more about ye log jo baatein karte hain. And I moved to Lahore after my master's and taught English at a university there for a few years. And I really liked to run, and so I tried to run at the campus gym on the treadmill, but I preferred to run outside. So I started running on campus. But then people started seeing me running publicly. And a professor came up to me and advised me to stop running because log kya kahenge. Incidentally, people absolve themselves of ill intentions or the responsibility of being the ones watching. It's not them, of course. It's these log. They're just helping you out by letting you know. I used to like smoking cigarettes. And when we would be at restaurants, my male friends would be smoking, and I would like to smoke. But my friends would hiss at me, "Log kya kahenge? Cigarette baad mein peena." Before I got married, and even after I got married, I used to want to hold my hands with my husband and hug him in public, and he would shrug me off and say, "Log kya kahenge? Why do you want to do this in public?" When guests would come over to my in-laws for dinner, people would expect me to be the one helping clean up, but never my husband or his brothers. Log kya kahenge if the man is the one cleaning up? When I used to work and leave my daughter with her dad, the elders would say, "Log kya kahenge? That the man is taking care of the kids while she goes off to work?" But I always took care of her when he was at work. When I started my PhD here at Penn, I had the option to do a joint degree in both education and anthropology. And after all those years of being socialized to think about log, I thought to myself, maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I would be too educated. After those years of thinking about what log would think, that log kya kahenge question had seeped into my mind, and I thought, no, one PhD program is enough. No need to do two. Thank God that the thought passed and I went for it, but it really wasn't easy. And 2 years ago, when we decided to separate, and shortly after we got divorced, my mother was so worried. What would people say? Talaq? We don't even like to say the word out loud. Log kya kahenge? And then after the divorce, I started dating. And I was seeing someone who made me really happy. But again, that question came into my mind. Log kya kahenge? This man who is very different from those who think that this man who is very different from who log think I should be with. Again, I started to hold myself back, and I struggled with this. It's hard to try to leave log kya kahenge behind. And even now, most people from my past can't wrap their heads around my life. I'm a single mother, living in my own apartment, raising my daughter, and the best part is that I'm happy. And my family sees me happy, and they see how much better that is than trying to fit me into some mold of a stereotypic South Asian Muslim woman. A woman who would follow the patriarchy and only affirm its power, never question it. But that's just not me, and that's not most women. I see other women who have shed the cultural expectations and rules in favor of living their truth. And the best part is, they're happy too. And there are plenty of us out there. And my hope is that for the next generation, when the question is asked, "Ke log kya kahenge?" I'll tell my daughter, "Goli maro in logon ko, bahar mein jaye." In other words, fuck 'em.